Between the 6th and 10th centuries, humanity entered an age of transition between collapsing empires and rising kingdoms, between ancient traditions and the dawn of monotheistic faiths. Across Europe, Asia, and the Islamic world, knowledge was preserved in monasteries and libraries, while trade routes like the Silk Road breathed life into cultural exchange. Technological progress slowed in some regions but persisted in others. Yet beneath this slow burn of civilization, the wild world continued to recede. On the island of Madagascar, the arrival of humans around this time brought catastrophic consequences for native wildlife. Large species began to vanish, victims of overhunting, habitat destruction, and the introduction of invasive species. These animals had evolved in isolation, without natural predators or fear of humans, making them especially vulnerable. The island's unique biodiversity, millions of years in the making, was undone in mere centuries, a quiet echo of the greater extinction sweeping the globe. The Cuban spectacled owl was a large, flightless owl species endemic to Cuba, closely related to the extant spectacled owl, but significantly more robust and adapted to life on the ground. It likely stood over half a meter tall and, with reduced wings, hunted terrestrial prey, possibly including small vertebrates, in forested environments. As with many island endemics, its extinction appears to have been driven by human arrival, habitat disturbance, and the introduction of invasive predators such as dogs and mongooses. The Malagasy shelduck is an extinct species of waterfowl in the shelduck subfamily, described from late Pleistocene fossils found at Antsirabe in central Madagascar. It is related to the extant Egyptian goose, which is widespread in mainland Africa, and to the extinct Reunion and Mauritius shelducks from the Mascarene Islands. The reason for the extinction of the Malagasy shelduck is unknown. Further findings in the Pleistocene sites of Ampasamba-Zimba and Ampoza, and also in the Holocene site of Baloha, show that the species was once widespread in Madagascar, inhabiting different biomes, and that it survived the arrival of humans to the island. Large baboon lemur was a large, robust, and predominantly terrestrial lemur from Madagascar, weighing around 30 kilograms and adapted for powerful chewing with expanded molars and a shortened snout. Its postcranial anatomy suggests it was a ground-dwelling manual forager, possibly resembling a gelada baboon in behavior. Its specialized teeth and jaw allowed it to grind hard objects like seeds and nuts, indicating it was a hard object specialist rather than a grazer. It had a relatively large brain for a lemur and likely lacked agility, showing limited adaptation for leaping or suspension. It went extinct between 535 and 876 years, likely due to habitat disruption and competition from livestock introduced by humans, combined with its low population density and specialized lifestyle. The horned crocodile was a large crocodile that lived in Madagascar between about 100,000 and 2,000 years ago. It reached around 5 meters in length and looked similar to the Nile crocodile, though it was more closely related to the dwarf crocodile. It had a short, deep snout and strong limbs, suggesting it hunted mainly on land. Its prominent horn-like projections, formed from the squamosal bone, were likely used for territorial displays and may have varied between sexes. These features are also seen in modern species like the Cuban and Siamese crocodiles. It likely went extinct due to human arrival and the disappearance of its prey, making it one of the many large animals lost during Madagascar's recent ecological shifts. The Ua-huka rail was a small to medium-sized rail similar to the buff-banded rail but with reduced wings and an extremely thin shaft of the tibiotarsus, perhaps the thinnest among all rail species, volant or flightless. The reasons behind this feature are unclear. It was described in 2007 from subfossil remains collected in 1965 at the Hane Dune archaeological site on the island of Uahuka in the Marquesas Islands. Monkey-like sloth lemur was a small to medium-sized extinct lemur from Madagascar with long limbs, a robust build, and adaptations for both climbing and slow movement in the trees. Closely related to modern sifakas and indriids, it likely had a follivorous diet, consuming mainly leaves and some fruit. Its grasping hands and feet suggest it was well suited for an arboreal lifestyle, navigating the forest canopy with deliberate agility. The species is thought to have gone extinct in the last couple of thousand years, likely due to habitat loss and hunting following the arrival of humans on the island. Forsyth Major's baboon lemur was a robust, medium-sized extinct lemur with a short snout, large molars, and relatively long limbs adapted for both terrestrial and arboreal movement. It belonged to the family Archaeolomuridae, sometimes called monkey lemurs, due to their primate-like appearance and behavior. Likely omnivorous, it fed on fruit, seeds, and possibly small animals, spending significant time foraging on the ground. It went extinct around 1,400 years ago, probably due to hunting and rapid habitat loss after human colonization of Madagascar. The small Oahu crake was a small, flightless rail species once found on Hawaii. Like many island crakes, it had reduced wings and likely lived a ground-dwelling lifestyle, foraging through dense vegetation for insects and plant matter. It belonged to the genus Porsana, a group known for repeatedly evolving flightlessness on islands. The species likely went extinct shortly after human arrival in Hawaii due to habitat destruction and the introduction of invasive predators like rats and cats. Hildebrandt's elephant bird was one of the smaller species of elephant birds, a group of giant flightless birds once endemic to Madagascar. Despite being smaller than its relatives, it was still a massive animal, likely standing around 1.5 to 2 meters tall and weighing several hundred kilograms. It belonged to the extinct family Apiornithidae, closely related to modern ostriches and kiwis, and likely browsed for fruits and soft vegetation in forested habitats. Its thick legs and reduced wings were adaptations to a fully terrestrial lifestyle, and it probably nested on the ground like modern ratites. It went extinct during the Holocene, likely due to a combination of human hunting, habitat destruction, and egg collection. Cayman Islands Geocapromys was a now extinct species of Hootia, a medium-sized herbivorous rodent. Belonging to the family Capromiidae, it was closely related to other Caribbean Hootias and had a sturdy body, short limbs, and a strong skull, adapted for gnawing tough plant material. The species is thought to have gone extinct following the arrival of humans due to habitat loss, hunting, and the introduction of invasive predators such as cats and rats. Cayman Islands Nesophantes was a small, shrew-like insectivore endemic to the Cayman Islands. It had a slender body, a pointed snout, and likely fed on insects and other invertebrates within leaf litter and forest undergrowth. The species is believed to have gone extinct shortly after the arrival of humans by the same reasons than Geocapromys. The Malagasy dwarf hippopotamus was a small semi-aquatic species of hippo that lived in riparian environments in western Madagascar, similar to the habitats of modern African hippos. It had high-set eyes for submerged vision and reached about 2 meters in length, resembling the modern pygmy hippopotamus in size. Subfossil remains suggest it was present until around 1,300 years ago, though strong oral traditions hint it may have survived until after 1,500 years. Unlike its African relatives, it was less specialized for grass grazing and shared its ecosystem with large tortoises. Evidence of butchery on several bones suggests the species coexisted with humans for centuries. Its extinction was likely driven by human hunting and habitat changes following human colonization of Madagascar. Lesser elephant bird was a smaller species of elephant bird from Madagascar, weighing around 80 kilograms, and was recently synonymized under one name by Hansford and Turvey in 2018. Radiocarbon dating of its remains suggests it may have survived until the end of the first millennium. Its reduced optic lobes indicate nocturnal or crepuscular habits, similar to kiwis and other elephant birds. Isotopic analysis shows it was a browsing herbivore, feeding mainly on leaves. Its eggs were significantly smaller than those of Aeopyornis, weighing under 1 kilogram with thin shells. As with other elephant birds, its extinction likely followed human colonization and environmental changes. The Malagasy pygmy hippopotamus was another dwarf hippo species, also closely resembling the modern pygmy hippo in size and appearance, although its exact classification remains uncertain. Standing under 1 meter tall and measuring about 1.8 meters long, it lived in the forested highlands and was well adapted to a terrestrial lifestyle, with long legs and eyes positioned lower on its head. Unlike aquatic hippos, it had a more digitigrade posture and likely spent much of its time walking and running on land. Notably, it had an unusually small brain for its body size, possibly as an energy-saving adaptation. Subfossil evidence suggests extinction around 1,200 years ago, likely linked to human activity. The Huahine starling is known only from a single leg bone discovered in 1984 at an archaeological site on Huahine Island in French Polynesia. It was the second largest known species of its genus and likely went extinct due to early human settlement, which led to deforestation and the introduction of invasive species like rats. The discovery significantly expanded understanding of the Aplonus genus and its former range in the Pacific. The Huahine gull is an extinct species known from subfossil remains found at the same place. It was described from 12 bones belonging to 2 individuals and likely fell victim to human exploitation for meat, bones, or feathers. Based on skeletal similarities, its closest living relative is thought to be the silver gull of New Zealand. Its extinction reflects the broader wave of biodiversity loss that accompanied early human settlement in the Pacific Islands. The Huahine rail was a species of bird in the family Rallidae. It was a medium-sized Galeralis rail endemic to this island. The rail is only one of a suite of birds found at the site, which became extinct either locally or globally following human occupation of the island. At the same site, another bird species, known as the Huahine cuckoo dove, a type of pigeon, was also discovered. The exact date of their extinction remains unclear, but the site where all these birds were found highlights the once rich diversity of avian life on the island before humans arrived and disrupted the ecosystem, ultimately driving many species to extinction. The Huahine swamp hen is an extinct species of bird in the family Rallidae. The swamp hen is only one of a suite of birds found at the site, which became extinct either locally or globally following human occupation of the island. The species was named after Brian McNabb to recognize his research on the evolution and ecology of flightless birds, especially rails, on oceanic islands. Nesotrochus is a genus of extinct flightless birds that were endemic to the islands of the Greater Antilles in the Caribbean. They have often been called cave rails, though they are no longer considered true rails, but an independent lineage of gruiform birds. Due to their similar but larger body dimensions, when compared to actual rails, the West Indian cave rails are considered examples of insular gigantism, as well as of convergent evolution. Astrochelis was a large tortoise from Madagascar, comparable in size to the modern Angonoka tortoise, with which it was closely related. Although known only from a tibia, genetic analysis confirms it as a distinct species. It once coexisted with several other tortoise species in the Ambolasatra region, contributing to an unusually high tortoise diversity in the area. It likely went extinct sometime between 761 and 954 years, possibly due to ecological pressures or human impact. Titan elephant bird was the largest known species of elephant bird native to Madagascar and is considered the heaviest bird to have ever lived, with an estimated weight of up to 650 kilograms. This massive, flightless bird had a robust build and stood over 3 meters tall, adapted for a terrestrial lifestyle. It was an herbivore, likely feeding on a variety of plants and fruits found in its forest habitat. Its extinction is believed to have been caused by human activities, including habitat destruction and hunting, following the arrival of humans on Madagascar. The species likely disappeared around 1,000 years ago during the Holocene extinction event. Spiny rats are a group of hystricognath rodents in the family Echimaedae. Most species have stiff-pointed hairs or a bristly coat of flat, flexible spines that allow for protection. Many echimaids can break off their tails when attacked. This action confuses predators long enough for the animal to escape. Unlike lizards, however, the tail of spiny rats does not regenerate. This species most likely did not do well in conditions of high heat and aridity and are restricted to regions with an abundant source of water. The Cenotes lorikeet is a species of parrot that became extinct 810 to 1,025 years ago. It was identified from fossils on the Marquesas Islands. The species epithet commemorates anthropologist Yoshihiko Cenote, who collected the holotype in 1965. The conquered lorikeet is another species of parrot and was a little smaller than the Cenotes lorikeet. The binomial name is wordplay, alluding to veni, vidi, vici. The authors wrote in the original description, "The meaning, I came, I saw, I conquered, may be projected into the prehistoric situation in the Marquesas and elsewhere in Polynesia, where people came to an island, saw the native parrots, and then conquered them, leaving behind only the bones." The Malagasy aardvark, known only from fragmentary remains in Madagascar, represents a unique mammal lineage with no close living relatives. Initially thought to be related to aardvarks, molecular studies have shown it is more closely related to tenrecs, leading to revised reconstructions. This animal was likely a digging insectivore, feeding on ants and similar prey. It was larger than modern tenrecs, roughly the size of a small dog, with an estimated weight between 6 and 18 kilograms. A bone dated to around 200 before our era suggests it coexisted with the earliest human settlers on Madagascar. It may have survived until approximately 900 years before succumbing to extinction. Like many other native Malagasy species, its disappearance was likely caused by human-driven habitat loss and environmental changes. Grandidier's giant tortoise was a giant tortoise from Madagascar, measuring about 1.2 meters in carapace length, making it one of the largest tortoises in the world. It was distinct from other Aldebrachyles species due to its massive, flattened carapace with bulging sides, short goulers, and a thick, strong shell, likely adapted to heavy predation. This tortoise mainly grazed in meadows and wetlands, playing an important ecological role. Unlike its relative, it did not seem to coexist long with humans. Ecologically, it likely helped disperse seeds of Madagascar's baobab trees and influenced vegetation through grazing and trampling. Conservationists have suggested using introduced Aldabra giant tortoises to restore these lost ecological functions. Southern giant ruffed lemur was a large, extinct species of lemur endemic to Madagascar, closely related to modern-day ruffed lemurs. It measured about twice the size of its living relatives, with a robust body adapted for arboreal life in the island's forests. Its strong jaws and specialized teeth suggest it fed primarily on fruits and leaves, playing a crucial role in seed dispersal within its ecosystem. The species likely went extinct due to habitat destruction caused by human activities. This extinction contributed to the disruption of Madagascar's unique forest ecosystems and the decline of native plant species reliant on large frugivores like Pachylemur insignis. Cynimporion kiana was an extinct small bat species that lived in Hawaii from at least 320,000 years ago until about 1,100 years ago. It was about 25% smaller than the modern Hawaiian hoary bat and had a distinctive skull with a narrow muzzle and no sagittal crest, indicating it fed on softer or smaller prey. Fossil evidence suggests it survived until relatively recently, possibly coexisting with early human settlers. The giant ii is an extinct relative of the ii, the only other species in the genus Daubentonia. It lived in Madagascar, appears to have disappeared less than 1,000 years ago, is entirely unknown in life, and is only known from subfossil remains. As of 2004, giant ii remains consisted of 4 incisors, a tibia, and other postcranial material. Subfossils of this species have been found in the southern and southeastern portion of Madagascar, outside the range of extant ii. The giant ii is believed to be very similar morphologically to the ii, but 2 times larger, based upon jaw and incisor measurements. It seems to have lived a similar life to its modern counterpart based on dental microwear and skeletal comparisons. The giant island deer mouse was notably larger than any other native Peromyscus species in the United States, following the pattern of island gigantism. It lived on the northern Channel Islands, including San Miguel and Santa Rosa, which were once part of a larger landmass called Santa Rosae. It likely went extinct after the smaller Peromyscus maniculatus was accidentally introduced by the Chumash people during trade. The smaller species was better at evading predators, like barn owls, which may have contributed to the decline of the giant island deer mouse. The Nuku Haiva rail was described in 2007 from subfossil bones collected in 1995 by archaeologists Rolette, Conte, and their colleagues at the Ha'atuatwa Archaeological Site on the island of Nuku Hiva in the Marquesas Islands of French Polynesia. The site dates to about 1,000 years from the early period of human settlement of the island. At the same site, a second species of Galeralis, also extinct, was found. It is believed to have gone extinct around the same time and under the same conditions as the previous species. Flightless birds were less likely to escape invasive species brought to the area, whether intentionally or unintentionally by humans. The Grandidier's koala lemur was a large, extinct species of lemur native to Madagascar, known for its long limbs and robust body, adapted for slow, deliberate movement through trees. This species had a unique skull shape with large, forward-facing eyes, suggesting strong reliance on vision, and it was primarily a folivore, feeding on leaves. Megalodopus grandidieri likely became extinct due to habitat destruction and hunting pressures following human arrival on the island. Its extinction reflects the broader loss of Madagascar's megafauna caused by human activities and environmental changes.